The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com, Smashmasters, Derby Parts, Derby Inc. Magazine, Live It, Breathe It, Be It, Derby Inc. The 2014 Bashford Cats, May 24th and 25th, Washington Courthouse, Ohio. And the Keystone National, a Bo Lockwood Motorsports production, July 19th at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds in Brookville, Pennsylvania. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marport.
Good morning. Happy Father's Day to everybody. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast. We've got Josh Decker in studio here with us. We've also got Ben Haas joining us. A special edition of the program. Going to focus on a lot of the questions that a number of people have had over the newly formed National Derby Committee. And some of the conversations that have surrounded that. There's been a lot of people with questions, a lot of people that are sitting on the fence, and a lot of people who have jumped right in full bore. Right off the top, we have to extend some congratulations. The first ever feature win recorded by a National Derby Committee member happened yesterday at Morris. Travis Seward that morning shows up, signs up for his membership, turns around and drives his Grand Prix right through the side of Rick Englehart's Imperial. Hung Rick on the wall, and
Rick doesn't want you saying that.
That's taking nothing against, taking nothing away from Rick. Rick did a great job out there, but man, I was talking with Rick in the pits afterwards, and I've seen that hit a million times, and the car never turns the way that it does. His car turned funny when he hit it, bounced funny, and it opened him up. Now he's sideways in the track, and Travis was there. Travis popped him, and from there. Travis had his work cut out for him, even so with the Dunnigan boy.
Yep.
And he brought a Mopar to a feature with no front bumper.
Yeah.
And is out there blasting with the front. And that thing, I mean, I seen it at the end, it bent, but
yeah.
I was surprised how strong it was with no front bumper. He was just taking it to the shocks.
Oh, yeah.
They were accepting it.
He was hitting with the engine cradle.
He was.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Not doing bad at all. We are still going to be on the air tomorrow. We're still going to have a Monday show, and we're going to get into a lot of the stuff from all the Derby action this weekend. Bath was this weekend. Mark Benjamin got a win down there, and then we'll talk a little bit about Mayhem, where Daryl Monroe, I believe, came away with a big win out there. But today we're going to kind of focus on exactly what the National Derby NDC is, National Derby Committee. And you guys are welcome if you do have questions, you're on the fence and not really sure what you want to do. In terms of your next step, you have the opportunity to call in. We do have a studio hotline open for today, 315-712-0104, which I'm going to have to fix that graphic because I keyed it in wrong.
You know, Becky Stoker, Ray's wife, says to me this morning, "What are you guys doing having this so early in the morning after Mayhem? You know everyone's going to be drinking, and no one was going to be up at that time." I was like, I didn't think about that because there's a lot of. I'm sure there was a lot of partying last night. You know?
Well, I mean, we've got people in California that got up and they're sitting there with their coffee and the newspaper and they're watching this thing.
Right. So that is true. That is very true.
That's right.
They're out there. They wanted to see what it was all about.
Absolutely. I think this is a good. We needed to have this, because.
Well, I mean, this is something that you were before. I got to fix this graphic anyway. Why don't you sort of take the lead on this part of it, and I'm going to jump back in because I mean you've been involved with all the conversation, Josh. I mean we're as this thing has come to pass, and then I'll give a little bit of my own background on it and where we ended up being kind of coming into the program.
Well, it's. I have a lot of passion for the sport, just like every single person that's probably listening right now. If you're listening, you have a lot of passion for the sport. There's a lot of things in the sport that, like guys are saying, it's like, I don't like this is going downhill, I don't like that. There's some negatives of the sport. And if you look at other motorsports, and I keep using the same ones, but NHRA, AMA, off-road racing, NASCAR, these were all motorsports just like ours, just a bunch of guys doing them, and eventually decided to kind of sanction them or bring them all together and be all one and get and progress the sport like that. And everyone's kind of been asking for this in different ways. Vendors are asking this in a way. Promoters are asking this in a different way. Drivers want it, of course. And it's starting to evolve. And I think what really the thing that changed it was social media and even a little bit of the podcast, but now we're able to talk to the entire country today. And you guys can all hear us today. And that's kind of changed the sport, I think, because we are very sectioned. You know, Utah's one way, California's one way, Midwest is totally different, and then there's also over here on the East Coast.
And Ohio.
And Ohio's its own little Ohio's crazy. But
Don't forget them.
I think guys really are starting to enjoy going to different areas and seeing and learning, and that's kind of what this is about, I think, is more trying to bring us all together. Look at NASCAR. It's the same rules throughout the whole country. Mm-hmm. And we're not trying to say the same rules. I'm not trying to say that. But there is a high end, which is like NASCAR. But then they still have their regionals, and they still have their local shows. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with this, is we want to get everybody together on the same page as one big unit. And there's a lot of positive things, which we're going to talk about today, things that are already starting to happen because of this.
Actually, let me jump in with what you just said there. You said we wanted to try and get everybody together as one big unit. There's a few things that we need to clear up right off the top that this is not. One, we are not trying to unify rules.
No.
We are not trying to.
It won't work.
We are not at all interested in unifying the rules in any way.
No.
I am not interested at all in seeing anything in terms of, I don't. We're not going to go through and try and develop our own Facebook or develop our own message board or anything like that. We're more interested in working together with people. We're not trying to. There's all these. I talked with Jason, Hatebreed 941.
Jason Sherman.
Jason Sherman. He said, I've already seen this come along 100 times before, and it's never worked. You haven't seen this come along before because we're looking at ways other sports have come together and got all their stuff together in one contiguous spot and elevated the sport. We're kind of trying to take that model, but by making it more pro-driver and more inter-member without turning around and saying, this is how you have to build your car, this is how you have to do this, this is how you have to do that. That's not the direction it needs to go. We're trying to get everybody together so that we can pull the sport up to the next level.
Yes.
Because there's good things about what goes on in California. There's good things about the build style in Utah. There's good things about the build style in Ohio. There's good thing about the stock guys up in the upper Northwest with Michigan or Washington and Ohio. There's good thing about the stock show. There's all these good things going on, but what we're trying to do is get everybody sort of pulling together on the same page so we can bring the sport together as a whole.
Correct.
That's the goal. We're not trying to we certainly aren't coming out and saying, look, it's our way or the highway. That's not at all what the plan is. We're just trying to get people on board if you want to be part of the committee, the group, and there's benefits that come along with being part of the group.
Absolutely. And when this first started evolving, it was a bunch of people involved, and what our idea was. And if I could touch on the board of directors here, or the board, Chris, we talked about how is the best way to get this all across the country. And what we decided was, Chris and I can't do this. I mean, it's just we can't do it all by ourselves. What we need to get is vendors, promoters, and drivers all with us. So what we decided to do was get some drivers from all over the country, get some vendors from all different edges of the country, and same with promoters. And I'm going to throw some names out here, Chris. I hope you don't mind that I do it. But as far as promoters, Tim with Smash It. Tim has all of Ohio. He has a big group of guys of drivers. Tim is huge.
Yeah.
Then we go over to Johnny Gallo. Stern Dirt is huge in Utah.
Yep.
So he's going to touch a lot of drivers. Sam Williams down in UD. UD is huge. I mean, UD is touching all of the Midwest. Yep. And what our goal was with that was these guys are talking and seeing all different kinds of builds, because Johnny Gallo's builds and Sam Williams' builds and Tim's, they're all way opposites.
Yeah.
But they can all work together. And not together to get the same rules, but just to get on the same page of what's allowed, what's not allowed, what they're going to allow at their events. Just stepping each event up. Because if you go, like a lot of us went to Bash for Cash. It was awesome. Mm-hmm. Tim and Russ did awesome. Well, what if Tim and Russ were able to kind of help other places do just as great?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, you should do this and you should do this because this is what we do. And instead of everyone being like, no, we're over here and we're the best, it's like, hey, let's let all Derby guys be great. Let's let all promoters be great, you know? And with vendors, we did the same with vendors. We decided to take vendors. Guys from Postal Mopar are on board. Scotty and Matt both.
Brian Nearett.
I mean, he's a big dog. Brian Nair is a huge guy here. He is totally on board with us also. And the goal of this is they see things that not all the rest of us see. And I think it's a big deal to get people all across the country in different spots of the country getting different views. And right now, that's already started with us. Now, what's happening behind the scenes a lot of people don't see is this board is about 11 guys. The great thing I think about it is if I decide something, and this has already happened on the board, we have a conversation, takes hours every week we have a conversation. There's conversations on there where I think I'm right, but the whole board says you're wrong.
It says, Josh, you don't know what you're talking about.
Totally awesome. Because I'll tell you what, I'm totally cool with it, Chris. If I have an idea and it's not right and a whole group shoots it down, it's like, okay, that's what, to me, that's the nation, because I got Utah saying no, I got Ohio saying no, and I got Midwest. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Troy Tagg is on there. Troy's pulling from California. Now,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Troy and Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. I mean, everybody knows Jimmy. He has a lot of great things he says too, but sometimes he says something, the board's like, nope, I don't think that's right, Jim. We all back down. Because, again,
That's not true. We don't always back down.
Well, well, that's true. That's true. But I think that's what's the cool thing about it is it's not Chris telling us this is how the NDC is going to run. It's not Josh Decker saying
not
this.
one person.
It's not. And that's been the coolest thing about it is also while we have these conversations, great things come aboard. And we're going to talk about that.
And I'm telling you right now that anybody who, I've had a couple of people say, well, it sounds like, it really sounds and it looks like, if you look at it, from the outside, it looks like it's a buddy system. And it's
No, not even.
It's not even.
Not even close.
Telling you, having sat on the phone calls, it's not.
It's not.
No. There's been some very spirited conversations, but one of the things that this has been able to do is it's opened a door between. Right now, it's opened the door between new product developers and event rule makers. So now there's some conversations actually going back and forth between these guys, which has essentially never happened. Everything was played so close to the vest.
Never.
Yeah.
And they're able to say, hey, I'm developing this. You're going to see this at your next show, so be ready. At the minimum, you're going to see this at your next show, so be ready. Beyond that conversation then expands a little bit and says, well, how can we? What can we do in terms of the development of this part where we can actually get this okay? Because as a vendor, I've got my pool of drivers that have been loyal to me that want to try the new stuff, the new latest and greatest, and they want to come and support your show. But if they have this part on their car and you don't let them run, it makes me look bad and it makes you look bad.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of that going on. We're evolving very fast right now.
Ben's gone through this a million times on both national, local scale.
Yep.
How nice would it be, as somebody who's writing the rules for Total Destruction, to have the opportunity to kind of know a little bit what's coming down the line, so you can at least prepare for it.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you got to think these parts aren't cheap. I mean, guys, you're spending hundreds, thousands of dollars on this stuff, and
They're excited to run them.
And then next thing you know, they go to an event where guys know nothing about it, and they're like, "Oh, absolutely not."
Yep.
I mean, that just
And that's happening.
yep.
That's
It's happened to me myself as a driver. I
Yep.
mean, it's happened for myself, but it's definitely. I mean, I don't want to go back on you guys, but it's like Josh was saying, it's not about changing rules and stuff like that. It's just about getting everybody on board to make some of these smaller shows, with the help of the bigger shows, a better show, pretty much. I mean, it's just to get everybody on the same level.
And Chris, if I could just back up here. Here's the goal. Right now we have a lot of the bigger guys, and I've seen people post things like, hey, this is all the big names. But really the goal with us was, let's start with the bigger names, the guys that have true passion for the sport, have proven themselves in the sport. Because all the guys that are on the board, every single person could say, like, that's a real derby guy. That's a guy that really cares, and he's doing it for the sport. And I've been on them board conversations. These guys are doing it for the sport. No one's been saying me. I haven't heard it. It's for the sport. The goal is you get these bigger shows going, okay? Then over time you start getting some regionals. I know Ben has already been talking about possibly being a regional. I know a bunch of places that have been talking about being regionals for us already.
Brandon Tyson signed on. So the Plymouth County Fair in Lamar's, Iowa is a regional event.
Boom, set up already. Brandon's in. And that's kind of the goal, is we'll see it start spreading. And then eventually, maybe not this year, but eventually it gets down to the smaller county fairs, and you start getting a lot of the smaller fairs. And really, guys, we have all talked about those $200 shows that sucked. They either need to start, eventually the goal is to make them start growing with us, or no one comes, and that's, we've all been talking about that, but this is how we make it happen. And this isn't something that's going to happen overnight.
No.
This isn't going to blow up in a day. But if you guys are listening, please, go like our page. Go become a member. I would love you to be a member.
And what Josh said, is even there's a prime case in point right there where he and I differ on opinions, and we have had this conversation a million times, both on the conference calls and individually. Josh says we're either going to make those county fairs grow with us, or cars aren't going to show up. And I'm saying no. Those guys can still have their show, and they can still have their $200 to win purses. But it's, you know what? We recommend you guys go support these promoters, because we know these promoters aren't cutting purses. These member promoters aren't cutting purses.
Right.
They've got the best inspection crews. They've got the best opportunity for local guys, for regional guys, whatever. And you know what? I'm not saying that these other shows need to go away.
No. What I'm saying is it'll evolve. It'll happen,
right?
Because guys will say, "Hey, the beginning of the season, this is what I do. I'm going to run 10 shows. I got 14 cars. I'm going to run 10 shows here."
And you're going to look at the Smashed Empire film schedule,
and I've been doing that for years. But you're going to pick the shows you go to, and you're going to start picking the better shows. 'Cause it's like, man, last year I went here, it was awesome, and I've already decided for next year I'm already going to a lot of the bigger shows. I want to do that, and I think as we start to evolve, drivers will say like, yeah, let me have a better weekend out with my family. Or if I'm going to spend a day at a derby, let's spend it at one that cares that I'm there, that wants to pay me out, that wants my cars, the inspectors are fair. I mean, those are things that we're hoping over time evolve. And Chris is right. I'm not saying don't go to the shows, but if everyone starts picking up, if you have other choices that are great, you're going to go there.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And again, that's why it's going to help guys in the NDC, because if you're part of it as a promoter, you are a part of it, guys are going to want to come to your shows. We're going to be on here. Everyone's going to be saying, these are approved shows. We're saying this is a good show to go to. He's going to do his payouts. His inspectors are great. The show's great. Guys are going to push towards those shows.
Yep.
And we're not telling you where to go. We're just telling you where you can go. There's so much to talk about on this. I'm like, my head is just full right now of places I'd like to start.
This is kind of my learning session.
Well,
I mean, you want to start right off the top with the drivers.
That's where I want to start.
So
this is a drive. This was started for the drivers, and I've already heard some guys saying that aren't drivers, vendors or promoters saying like, hey, this seems like it's for the drivers, and it's like not so much for. This is for drivers, 100%.
Absolutely, the whole thing was designed.
Started.
Yeah, when I started Smashed Empire Films, I right off the top I wanted to have a situation where we basically had a buyers club where we had the videos, we had some sort of internet element, because at that point I was doing the 31st lap with Finger Lakes 1 here. And I wanted to have some sort of internet element, some sort of podcast show, which we've now been able to realize. And I wanted to have some sort of print something, which we've now been able to realize with Derby Inc. magazine, and have this pool of drivers in everything that sort of was involved with this. That's where the name Smashed Empire came from, just because it was going to have multifaceted and cover all these bases. Didn't quite have the means of pulling all that off, because I'd only been around for a year or so, and now as things have evolved, we've been able to add the podcast element, been able to add the magazine element and stuff like that, and getting closer and closer to being able to have promoters and stuff involved with that. At the same time, other people had also had that thought, and Jimmy Johnson actually was one that brought it to light and said, look, this is what I envisioned. So we kind of massaged the idea that I had, massaged the idea that he had, and there was some other input from other places, and that's ultimately how this whole thing came to be. Yeah. At the heart of it was, we need to find ways to make the drivers rock stars. These are the guys that are going and they're putting on the show.
Yeah.
With the in-car cameras, showing the guys that are making the craziest hits, with the year-end awards program for that Smashed Empire Films does for Showman of the Year, Compact Driver of the Year, Full-Size Driver of the Year, stuff like that. Again, just continue to incentivize and give back to the sport and give back to the drivers. That they're the ones that are putting on the show, and by being a member, you've got the opportunity to save money on parts from member vendors. You've got the opportunity to save money on running events at member promoter shows. As spectators, we've got commitment from some of these guys that maybe you aren't going to go take a car, but at least you want to go watch. You've got the opportunity as a spectator to get reduced pricing on your pit passes, things like that. And also, it also gives you the opportunity that if you have a problem, you're a member of the group. You can come and you can bring it to the board and say, look, this is something that's going on. I need some help with it. Maybe it's help building the car. Maybe it's questions. Maybe it's just something as simple as information sharing. Maybe there's some major problems at your local show, but one way or the other, you've got a pool of resources available, and those guys can help you.
And let me kind of break this down how it is for a driver. I'm going to kind of put it in a view of a driver. As a driver, we're going to run a ton of shows this summer. Let's say you spend your $15 or $30 with these great shirts that we had made. You spend $30, you get it shipped to your house. $30, okay? We spend that all the time on junk. We do. We all do. $30 is nothing. You spend $30. You're going to, let's say Tim for Smash. I'm just going to throw him as an example. Or UD, or Stir and Dirt, any of those. You're going to go to 3 or 4 of those shows this year. You already know it in your head. You're going to, as soon as you walk in the gate, all those times, you're going to save money as a member, okay? You're almost going to save as much as you paid already. Right. Then you're going to go over to the vendors, right? Before the Derby, let's go over and walk around vendors. You're going to go over to Postal Mo Parts, like, man, I need wheel centers, I need this, I need bearings. He gives you a discount on all your prices there. Then you go over to Mad Mike, he saves you money. You get over to this, they save you money. Then you got to go register your car because you got Derby that day. You get into the inspection line, boom, you save money again. Now you got to go to the second Derby of the year. It all happens again. The third Derby. Then you go to Blizzard Bash at the end of the year. Boom, again you get to save the money. This is really for the drivers. And I know some guys will say, like, Josh, I only go to 1 Derby a year. I had a guy say to me, I went to 1 Derby a year. You probably will get your money back on that. But maybe if you just go to 1, maybe it's not for you. But I think even for a guy that goes 1 time, if you were to go online and buy parts from these guys, they're still going to give you the discount on the parts, okay? So it's like throughout a year, think of how much you buy or do Derby related.
And the other thing that everybody keeps saying that it's just big brother, big government, stuff like that. We're going to tell you all how to do it. And it's not a case like that because we let each individual vendor have the decision of what the discount program is going to be. We don't say, okay, you have to do this. You have to. No. I'll give some sort of benefit to the member vendors. Tell us what it is so we can tell them.
And that's it. Is what we're saying to vendors is these guys that are so hardcore have been taking care of you this entire time. They've been buying your stuff. They've been paying your bills. All we're saying is if guys are going to work together, let's give them a little bit of help. We're not saying give them 50% discount. What we're saying to vendors is you pick. You want to do free shipping? You want to do 5%, 10%, $10 off? Do whatever you choose. We'll tell the drivers what you're going to do, but drivers are going to want to go where they know. Has anyone gone on WeCrash? There's a thread on WeCrash where you can bitch about anybody that screwed you. Now here's the problem with it. There's 1,000 pages in there, guys. Mm-hmm. Nothing happens, right? No one can do a thing about it. You say, yeah, this guy sucks, this guy sucks. Now there's somebody that listens. If there's a vendor that's out there screwing people, it's going to be very tough to get on the NDC. He's going to have to stop. If there's somebody that's on the NDC that's screwing people, trust me, they're going to have a talking to. That's not what we're looking into. And seriously, Chris, we want to take care of you guys as drivers. And at the end of the day, vendors and promoters, they're drivers too. So really, drivers are the core, right? We want to take care of you. I want to be taken care of. All the drivers want to be taken care of in the long run. And I think we're on the right path with that. Am I right here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going in the right direction. Baldwin Engines has signed up.
Jeff Baldwin was so excited about it because he said, this is what our sport needs. And here's another thing for drivers. You go on the internet right now, you can find 1,000 guys that make gas pedals, right?
Oh.
Okay? But there's only not really? Because they're all copying each other. There's only a couple guys making good gas pedals. Now, what we're saying is we want to get guys on the board. We're not looking to turn any vendors away. Let me make that clear.
But nor are we trying to shut any vendors down.
No. I want everybody that's a vendor right now that's buying from, I want everyone to be part of NDC. And please, get a hold of us afterwards and become part of it, okay?
You can call in now, 315-712-0104 if you want.
Absolutely. What I want you to do is call in. But I want you to sign up, and I want you to start helping taking care of the guys that are taking care of you. As far as vendors, all we're asking you is take care of the guys that are taking care of you. If guys are non-members, then they just get the normal price. Okay, we're not looking to screw non-members. It's nothing like that. Just take care of the members. Give them a little bit of discount in the long run.
Yeah, because I gotta laugh because I've had a couple people ask me, you know, like, of course I'm naive to this whole thing. I mean, so I'm like, I refer to. As like talk to Chris or Josh, you know, and they'll fill you in. But instantly, I says, well, it's looking at, you know, possibly, you know, if you're a member, you get a certain discount and stuff like that. And that's little things I picked up. Instantly, the first words out of their mouth are, well, how much of the regular price is going to go up then?
And that's
it's like, dude, it's not like that.
And guys,
it's
let me say this: if a vendor chooses to do that, totally on a vendor, but the drivers will see that kind of stuff. But that's not what we're telling vendors to do.
And that's what I said.
Not what we're telling vendors to do.
Yeah.
And $5 off or free shipping, it's not the end of the world to these vendors, okay? And let's remember, they're selling a lot of stuff out there. But what we're trying to get rid of is maybe some of the guys that are not taking care of the guys, poor quality products.
The fly-by-nighters.
And Ben, there's a lot of them. And I'm not saying you guys can't go get your parts built by them. But what I'm saying is if those guys want to get out into the mainstream and be able to sell to all of us, there's some stipulations we ask you to follow. We want you to just kind of be a little bit more legit, a little bit, you're just going to do the right things. We want to make sure you're going to do the right things because I don't want someone to be on it and then start screwing people.
Basically, we want to have what ultimately we hope to do is have a pool of these approved vendors where somebody who's getting into the sport, who knows, how many times have you gone on some of the social media sites or some of the message boards, seen, I'm looking to build a Crown Vic, who makes the best engine cradle and who makes the best transmission brace. And you get a list of 70 different responses. So then that guy, he goes to an event. He's milling around, doesn't know what decision to make. Goes around and he sees a guy with a bunch of SS rims on a converted boat trailer with a homemade engine cradle. He goes, yeah, it's just like X cradle. And that's one of the names that he saw. But this one here at the show that's sitting in the bed of a pickup truck that was bubblegum welded together in Dad's shop.
Exactly.
That thing, it's $150, $200 cheaper, $300 cheaper. So he buys it and he puts it in his car and he goes and he runs it and the thing blows apart and it ruins it. And now he's out of car, he's out the cradle, probably ruined his engine.
Motor.
Presumably out of motor.
Yeah.
And he just got his ass handed to him. That guy probably isn't going to come back to the sport.
No, it's going to turn him right off.
It's going to turn him right off.
And there's a lot of that happening right now.
So essentially, it's one of those situations where this will be a database, a go-to source where you can go there and you can say, okay, you live in Pennsylvania. These are the guys that are close to you that make really good stuff. They have great customer service. These are the guys that are on a national plane that we know make the best.
Yep.
If you want to, these are your 4 or 5 options. If you're looking to save money and keep it closer to home, go to these guys. Check these 2 or 3 out. If you're looking to go on a national level, check these couple guys out. It's your responsibility to make the decision. I'm not telling you have to buy it from there, but you have the opportunity now. Go look at it and use this database to your advantage. There's going to be pages that tells you where to go. How many times have you gone trying to find parts?
Oh no!
And you don't know how to get a hold of people.
It's going to be like
that's happening.
It's going to be like the Derby Yellow Pages, pretty much. That's
great. That's in terms of vendors and promoter information.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's
a great point.
You're absolutely right, though, Ben. Because how many times you don't? Okay, me on rear. I was looking for axles and rear ends. Yeah, we all know to go to Mosher, but I don't know. But you can. Yeah. There's plenty of guys that helped you right. I called the guy and he walked me right through, and they got me. And that's the kind of guys we want. It's like when you call, he helps you get it ready, perfect, done right, answers your questions.
Well, we're waiting for Jesse to get his stuff in, but I believe Jesse Keel with Performance Rear Ends is going to be coming on board.
Oh, he's on board. Jesse's on board. And what it is some of these guys that are selling great products and taking care of the customers. What they're finding is there's guys that are fly-by-night guys that are undercutting their prices. Not that's the American way. Let's be honest. We can do that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is maybe the quality's not there, or maybe they're not a legit business, or not paying taxes or whatever. We kind of want to curb that. Mm-hmm. We want to send drivers to guys like right here. If you buy from these 5 guys or 10 guys or 50, we hope. If you buy from any of them, you'll be taken care of 100%,
right,
from beginning to end.
Right.
And and if not, let us know, because these guys are also representing the NDC. Mm-hmm. When they sign up with us, they're saying, I'm not going to screw anybody. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that.
Well, I'll be the first one to say, I'll build it myself. Instead of going out and paying thousands of dollars, I'll step right up. I'm like, I can build that.
Absolutely. But not everyone can do it.
What I'm saying is, but there's times where I look at stuff as like, I know I can build that, but you know what? That guy did one hell of a job.
Right.
And that is a quality product. I'm going to spend the money and buy that because I know how much time I'm going to have in that to build that, and I know how much time he's got in it, and that's one hell of a price.
Exactly.
And it's like, and I'll buy it, and I'm a welder fabricator by trade, so
yes.
And also the difference has been you're making it for yourself. It's not like you're turning around and selling this stuff.
Well, I'm just saying as a driver, as a kind of an outside view
Yep.
viewing in on this is there's a lot of people like that.
Yep.
They're going to go around to a show. They're going to be like, yeah, I need parts, so I'm going to go check this guy's stuff out and stuff like that. But the mindset isn't always, okay, I'm just going to make a spin-off of that, and try to sell it,
Yep.
Or a driver saying, people need to recognize the quality of this stuff, and I'm just saying on my behalf, I recognize the quality of some of this guy's stuff, and it's like, you know what, that's a hell of a price.
And that's
on
exactly
that.
right, because we're not talking about the safety side of it too, Ben. Is some of the stuff that's poor quality, it puts you in jeopardy. I mean, we've heard guys' gas tanks ripping straight open, dumping inside the cars.
Yeah.
I've heard shifters coming apart, cutting guys' legs up.
And that's where, like we touched on earlier, getting vendors involved with promoters and talking and exchanging safety ideas and stuff like that.
And that excels the sport. I mean, and stuff's going on behind the scenes during the day
Crazy.
between vendors and promoters
Crazy.
now that we don't even know that's happening, but it's positive. It's positive.
It's positive. It's not like they're trying to put a big regulation on everything.
And at the same time, there's been conversations that have come out and said, well, I'm going to lose a bunch of drivers because they're going to assume things that aren't necessarily true if I turn around and say that I'm only going to authorize this particular type of X part, be it a shifter, be it a tank or whatever. And that's a conversation that needs to be had, because that's a perspective that the vendor might not have even considered.
Yeah, but that's the biggest downfall of this. A lot of drivers in the sport is they assume. They're gonna assume. Well,
there's a lot of that going on.
I think they're gonna make you not do this, so I'm not even gonna, I'm not gonna bother with it. Or they're gonna just say this whole thing's a bad idea. It's you can't assume anything.
Nope.
It's just, if you have questions, you call. If you have questions, you call.
Yes.
The number. Or get a hold of somebody, and find out the facts, because this is just.
And I think a lot of guys have been just kind of waiting to see, because we haven't really come out and talked about it. I think that's why
we had the opportunity that we were not going to launch it at Bash for Cash.
Right.
We were not going to. Right. And then we had a conversation with Tim, and Tim kind of gave us the opportunity. Tim Clark over there, and kind of gave us the opportunity. Well, why don't you launch it? Why don't you launch it at our show? Everybody's already there. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great point, Tim. We'll see you in 8 days.
But Tim's got a great point too, because
it went over well.
And here's why Tim, and I want to touch on promoters too, because we haven't even got to that. Tim, when he heard about this, was right on board. Great idea, guys. Let's take care of the guys that are taking care of us, because Tim's got a great following, a lot of guys, and a lot of guys that can save a ton of money throughout the year with this. Tim's got 46 shows. How many of you drivers out there are going to 5, 10, 15, 20 of his shows? Just imagine you save $5 a show.
Right.
I mean, boom, 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 boom. Then you're buying.
That's $200.
But Tim said this to us, and this is something the drivers probably didn't think about. Vendors coming to shows is somewhat of a new thing. A lot of county fairs, we don't see vendors, especially in the Northeast. We don't see no vendors. When I start going to shows and all these vendors, well, Tim said, Josh, how do we know the good ones and the bad ones? How do I know the guy that says I want to come in here is selling my guys good quality parts? There is no way. Right now, we're just in a crapshoot. Whoever wants to show up, fine. The eventual goal is that we get all promoters on, or all vendors on board, and then Tim can say, when vendors are calling him saying, like, I'm going to have Bash for Cash, I want a bunch of vendors. He knows the ones that are good vendors to have there, and their quality. He doesn't have to worry about his drivers buying crappy parts. He doesn't have to worry about his people that are walking around looking at crappy parts, and he knows that the guys are there serious and taking it serious, And Tim was on board 100%. Now, Tim was saying, too, I mean, they take a couple dollars off for your entry fees. At the end of the day, it's $5, $10. Tim said, Josh, it's not about the money. It's about taking care of the drivers. And I remember Tim saying that.
Yeah,
I said, Tim, that is what we want. We want promoters. Forget about the money side of it, because I think some guys are getting so stuck on that. Money. Forget that. It's all about... sorry, it's my children.
Well, the other thing that you're talking about, the vendors, is those vendors are also, with some of these promoters, are going to be getting a cut on their vending fees. They're not going to have to, they're getting some money back too.
Okay, another great point. Vendors come on. Tim says, "Hey, you guys are all NDC members. Let me cut you a little bit of break." And those guys are more apt to come to his shows. Now, eventually, imagine this growing, because right now, A lot of guys are thinking small case, like, okay, we're just talking about UD, and this. No. And then regionals. Then your local fairs. Think about how much derbying all of us do throughout the year. How much money is moved.
Nationwide.
How much is... Yes. Let's start working together to take care of each other. Other sports do it. We literally are the last... Naming rock crawling has a sanctioning body.
Exactly.
Did you guys know that? Because I found that out when I looked into it. We're the last ones. Drag racing. Mud racing has it. Off-road racing has it. Here we are, the last guys left. And what I'm saying is, let's grow.
Even garden track and garden tractor pulling
Has a sanctioning body?
Pullers Association. Yeah.
Really? Really? I quit. I'm out.
Come on.
I'm out.
You know what I mean?
Come on. But drivers, they all started like us, just
Yeah.
ran them across the country, and a group pulled them together. And what our goal is, it's not one guy, two guys, three guys, a board. And over time, this board might grow. We might grow to 15, 20 guys, and we hope to do that.
It's a committee. Is what it is. It's a committee.
Yeah.
It's just it's a bunch of people that have the same goal in mind, that are trying to elevate the sport, and they're trying to take the sport from being dollar centric to driver centric.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that everybody can kind of relate to and get on board with, and right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really the brass tacks of it, is trying to bring everything together and get it to a point where we can pull everything, up. And there's fees to be involved. Yes, there are. There's fees to be involved, and that is used to ship and send shirts.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because
I mean,
I've had
a
someone
lot of
say
people
to
are
me,
asking about where the money's
people are
gonna go.
doing math, and their math is horrible, okay? But let me say this, because a guy wrote on there, if you guys get 1,000 guys, this is what your money comes up. Where's all this money being spent? It doesn't cost that much to do this. Let me tell you, it's really expensive. These shirts, really expensive. You got to pay for them up front. The logos, the banners, the websites, trust me, guys. We're not making any money. This is all going back into the sport. Every cent that comes in gets right back in, and we're trying to blow this up. Truly, that's what's going on.
We're gonna have a national championship heat at Blizzard Bash, and then all the member promoters are gonna have the ability to identify particular events as qualifiers throughout 2015 for a spring 2016 outdoor national championship event for weld, stock, and compact guys.
Right.
And that's another thing.
That's a long-term goal that
Yes.
that we're building towards, and ultimately some of those dues are going to be going into
putting the show on.
bolstering that, making that happen.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we have to have a national championship show. And now Blizzard Bash is huge. Like when I went out there, that was like the Super Bowl to me. But it actually isn't picking the number one driver in the country. As you know what I'm saying? You're picking team. What if we had a derby, a totally separate derby, that all the guys were one-on-one for who is the best in the country? And what we've talked about also is moving it each year as we progress, moving it around the country, because we can build for different style rules. When we go to Utah, whoever goes up there's got to build to his rules. When we get to Ohio, we build out that rules. We build here. And over time, everyone can start kind of moving around the country, and we start spreading out. And I've heard some guys say, like, our area only builds this way, Josh. We are stock. And my guys aren't going to want to go out to Ohio, and they're not going to go out. I'm telling you right now, I promise you it's not true. I know that in every single area, all over the country, there are drivers that want to go to the NASCAR level. There are drivers that only want to go to the regional. And there are drivers that only want to run local. We do not want to change that. You want to run local, do it. You want to run regional, do it. But for the guys that want to go to that next level, they want to be them national SOBs, we're going to open this up for them. And there's a lot of drivers, aren't there? There's a lot of drivers that want to be the best in the country. I do.
But there's also advantages to just running on the local level. There's room for everybody, and there's room for every build style. There's not at all coming out. I don't want anybody here in this conversation that we're having this morning that we're coming out and saying, this is the only build way. This is the only way to build.
No.
This is the best way to build. This is the way that everybody is going to have to build.
You
No
can't
way.
change guys 50
Absolutely
years
not.
of derbying lifestyles and areas. You can't change them.
And that's not even in the
No.
that's not even on the to-do list.
Forget that.
That's not the
that.
point. Not the point.
Not at all. Not at all. It's more about the backside of it. What's going
We
on
had this
before and
conversation
after the derby.
We were waiting for Ben can attest to this. We were waiting for a guy to get his compact car started at Morris yesterday, and I was running an in-car camera on Jason Sheridan's 941 car. Congratulations to him. He picked up the compact win at Morris yesterday.
Sherman.
Or, excuse me, Sherman. I misspoke. On his car, and we're talking a little bit about it in the pits when he came in, and he was like, I don't think this is I don't think this is for me. And through the course of the day, we just kind of talked a little bit. So we're in line. We had time. So he's sitting there with his helmet on and his neck roll on. The camera, I'm getting ready to turn it on. Oh, so by the way, so what questions did you have? And I gave him the ultra condensed version on the line at Morris yesterday of kind of what we're talking about today, and he posted on Crash Course. He goes, "You explained it the right way, and I believe in it." So he'll be signing up too.
Thank you.
So that's pretty cool,
And
right?
he's a guy he's another guy. He goes all over throughout he's all tons of derbies.
Yeah.
And he's spending money. I mean, you're Jason, you're a prime example. You're a guy that goes all over. You would have shaved on entries. You save on your getting in the gates. This is what it's about. And it's also about being part of something a little bit bigger than just. Sometimes guys in our world are a little selfish. We're all got that ego, and I understand that, but there is something bigger, and let's be part of it. It's okay to be part of something bigger that's kind of taking care of us when we're not there. I know that kind of sounds dumb. Let me bring up one thing that I know happened for the promoters. I want to give an example of something that's already helping the sport excel. Sam that runs Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, he hooked up with an insurance company. And in this insurance company wants to give lessons to all promoters that are part of the NDC on the functionality of insurance, why you need it, why you can't have racetrack insurance, how to protect yourself. These are things that not a lot of promoters understand, right, Ben? And there's a lot of guys that promote just because they're like, oh, the racetrack has insurance. I don't. Let me tell you, you're about to get screwed. You are one lawsuit away from losing your house. We want to protect you, promoters, big and small. So Sam hooked up with this guy that says, hey, if you guys work together and get a group, okay, let's say 10 derbies across the country, we'll give you all a discount rate on insurance. You'll all have the same insurance, and I'll teach you why this insurance is a necessity and how it protects you. And these are things that people don't know about that are promoters. But this is one thing that already has come out of this NDC. Another thing I want to can I just jump on one other thing? Another thing that came out was sponsors. Everyone talks about sponsors.
You're gonna go out and you're gonna get all these national sponsors. Well, maybe.
Okay, that's the goal. But let me tell you about national sponsors, because I work in sales. I deal with a lot of this stuff. Okay, in my job, sponsors, monster sponsors, big guys, do not want to talk to 100 guys on a derby track. No. But they will talk to thousands all across the country. And what big sponsors are saying is, guys, if you're just going to run one derby, I don't think we're on board for that. It doesn't progress to enough people or show to enough people. But what they're saying is, hey, if you can promise us 10 shows, huge shows all across the country, Ben, we will be more...
I keep having to turn this microphone down.
Am I yelling? I'm sorry, Chris, I guess.
He's getting excited.
He's getting all wound up.
Am I? Let me back down, everybody. I really am passionate about this, Chris, because I'm a driver, dude. I've been derbying for 16 years. I've been watching since I was 4 years old. I've been to thousands of derbies, wrecked thousands of cars. I really care about this. And I'm looking you guys right in the eye when I say that this is done for the sport. This is done for the drivers. I'm being very serious about that. And it's if we all just do our little part, all I'm asking each guy out there, do your little part to just be a member, like the page, and follow us and go to your shows. Just do what you've been doing. Just do it on the next level up. Just do it. All of us. Let's try not to whine. Let's try not to bitch at tracks. Let's just try to act that next bit of professional. Because let's be honest, we're all sick and fucking tired of being called dirtbags and scumbags and derbians for that shit. It's not true. There are great people in Derby, and most of you are great people. Let's show that to the world. We're not doing it enough, and we need to stick together and show.
That's what ultimately needs to come apart. Is you need to show the buying power. If you come up with a show and say, look, pick one, O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Yep, big one.
I've got 1,500 people at my show, and I'm looking for $10,000 to help make this huge show. They're gonna just hit the delete button on that voice message or the email that you sent in, and you're not gonna get anywhere with it. But if you can turn around and you can say, look, I'm gonna have 5 or 6 different opportunities through the course of the year that's going to give you a collection of somewhere around 10,000, 12,000 exposures, in addition to this marketing campaign that we're going to put out using social media. Now all of a sudden you've got some attention. No guarantees,
right,
but you've at least got inside where you can have a conversation.
And that's huge, because trust me, there are guys that are very close to getting us sponsors. for the sport. Small, big, medium, large, all different kinds. But the sponsors are telling us there's stipulations. You have to do this and this, and we're not following that. So what this is also helping is for us to all get on board and say, hey, we got power. Look at the United States Demolition Derby page, 18,000 likes on that page, okay? There's way more derbiers than that even. But if we could show O'Reilly's, there's 17,000 people going to be watching these 10 events.
Or Monster, or Red Bull, or Coke.
Yes, Chris. And that's what happened with... That's what other companies did. They showed the value to these sponsors, and the sponsors said, okay, I'm on board. Now, drivers, think of how this comes back to you. O'Reilly's sponsors a derby that you're going to, and they throw in money for prize money. Now, let's say the Derby was already giving away $5,000. O'Reilly says they're throwing in $5,000, or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's going to keep pushing us up, and then you get more guys showing up. O'Reilly's, the next Derby goes up and up and up, and that is the goal of that.
Or Speedway. Speedway's another
huge one.
Good one. Is huge.
Napa. I mean, there's already guys that are getting. They have the. Let me say this: people have the contacts. Us as a group got to get together and on the same board and prove our worth to them. And they will back. I really, truly feel that these companies are looking, and they've said this, we're looking for new ways to get to the perfect demographic, which is 17 to 35, which, hello, that's right? Isn't that exactly what's going on in Demolition Derby?
You're getting close to being out of that demographic, buddy.
I'm out of it.
I'm 31. I'm 31. But that's what they want, and we can get that. Yeah. We can get that. I mean, that's who's watching our derbies. Let's prove to them that's who's watching these derbies, right, and they'll follow. I'm sorry if I was getting worked up, guys.
No, that's hey.
It's been on my chest because, like, a lot of people, I've answered 1,000 guys.
Clark Russell just called and I hit the off button when I tried to answer.
Clark, call back.
Yeah, Clark, call back. I'm trying to get him.
No, I mean it's a super cool thing. I mean it's got a lot. It's got a way more benefits than a lot of people think. I mean,
it's only for the benefits. I mean, guys are throwing negative things out there. I've seen some stuff on WeCrash. They are so insanely off base. These are people throwing things out there that are just, I don't know where they're getting them from.
Well, I know. Talk about big sponsors. I mean, years ago, I was talking to a couple guys out in Ohio, Gaffin and them guys.
Yep.
I mean, Steel Chainsaw years ago sponsored them guys.
We don't know where the sponsors are going to come from.
You know what I mean? So
we don't know exactly, Ben.
You know, who knows? You know, some agricultural company might say, you know, some horseshoe company might say, sure, yeah.
But here's also how sponsors work.
Who knows? You know,
sponsors sometimes will say, hey, I want to sponsor you guys, but I want it to be at 10 places.
Actually, we've got
Go ahead.
You know who it is?
No.
How do phone books list names? Last name first? Well, this one does it the same way. So it wasn't Clark Russell. It was Russ Clark from Smash It. Can you hear it?
Hey, sir, how are you today? Tell Chris.
It's called a question. Can I get Josh Decker's autograph?
Yes. Yeah. We can,
Shut up,
Russ. We can set that up for you.
Shut up.
No, actually why I called this morning, I'd have had Tim do it, but he's driving home from Mayhem this morning.
Sure.
I just wanted to clear up a couple things with drivers here in Ohio. I've
Yeah,
had a
go
lot
for
of
it.
questions about this NDC, and, you know, just to reiterate what they said earlier, that, you know, they're not trying to influence promoters. It's not a money-making scheme for us, you know, things like that. And I think it's a great thing you guys are doing.
Russ, thanks, man. We
Thank you,
appreciate your
Russ.
support. You know, you guys were right there from the get-go.
Well, I mean, it's for the drivers. I mean, we had a lot of questions here from drivers here in Ohio about it. And, you know, a couple things I wanted to just set straight is they're not trying to influence the rule-making decisions.
Not at all.
How the shows are ran.
Nope.
You know, they came to the bash, seen what we did, liked what we did, you know. So, you know.
And Russ, we want other people to be able to see what you did. You know, not just the guys that were able to come to Ohio, but all across the country say, like, man, look at how great Russ's show was. What could we do? And then maybe we can help the other shows evolve as good as yours. Not everybody is as far along as you are, and maybe we can help some guys get as far along as you.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'd love to get everybody elevated in the sport, drivers, fans, everyone. You know, this is something for everybody. Like you said earlier, you can save some money going to shows, you know, if you're a member, you know, help drivers and fans out. We believe in what you guys have, you know, spelled out on how it's going to work. And, you know, and there's a couple things that people is worried about, is like promoters that's on board that's going to, say, hey, if you aren't a member, we're not going to approve your parts. That's not, ever a thought with us.
Not even looking into that.
No.
And I'm sure Sam and the guys at Stern and Dirt are the same way, and, there's no influence on how we write our rules.
Nope. Nope.
And you just try to do the right thing, and hopefully you guys keep that in check.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing is there's checks and balances built right into the whole structure of everything. That's the nice part is that the whole way that it's mapped out right now is there's built-in checks and balances that aren't going to let anybody really get you can't. When you've got the personalities that are there, you've got multiple promoters, multiple vendors, multiple drivers on the panel. You're looking at nobody going to be able to get too far out of line.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's, but like Russ said, is we're trying to do the right thing. I mean, that's like the most. I hope people listening can hear the passion and the truth of our voices. We're doing it for you. Mm-hmm. I'm a driver, man. I got to deal with the same stuff you guys are dealing with every day. That's why, like, when this came up, I kept saying, like, yes. I was loving everything that kept coming out. Yeah. And for some guys, they haven't been able to go to these big shows, and maybe they don't realize what we're saying when we say the next step. But when you go to a show like Russ's, it's the next step, man. This is what Demolition Derby needs to be. This is what we dreamed about as kids, that when you go to a show, the stands are full, the crowd is full. That's what we dreamed about.
And plus, Josh, I mean, don't everybody seems to always gravitate to, oh, they're going to change this, they're going to change that, they're going to change this. Don't just look, oh, the show was a huge payout show and there's a lot of cars. Actually go and watch the whole show.
Exactly.
The way the inspections flowed,
yes.
The way everybody was treated.
Yes.
How much time gets killed versus time gets used.
Yes, very good point.
The actual setup of the show.
All that.
Everything.
The track, the prep, the vent.
And that's where people need to just slow down and see the whole big picture.
Yes.
The whole big picture, and just not focus on one or two little things.
Yes.
And just, it's because that, to me, if I'm traveling to a show, I'm running around like a chicken with his head cut off, checking shit out.
Absolutely.
But I'm also looking at everything.
How it's run. Absolutely.
When we wheeled in there, when people come pulling in there, it's just from
the gate,
to the end of the show. Yeah, yep. I mean, we
had somebody in the live chat say that we would probably get more people signing up if the NDC shirt that they bought came signed with a silver Sharpie by Josh Decker.
Done. Whatever it takes, man. I don't care. If that's what I got to do, we'll do it.
But I mean, we were talking about Josh was making a point about the different opportunities. If we get everybody together and we can bring some serious numbers, like we've got we're working closely with Andrew Shoemaker in the United States Demolition Derby.
Right.
So we've got a lot of bodies and opportunities there. Let's say Speedway and O'Reilly come on and they get a good response. Well, that word is going to travel.
Oh.
And now there's other people that are going to want to be. Yeah. Capitalize on some of that advertising as well, which is something that is going to be good for the sport.
Well,
had a great question in here from I think it was Mitchell. Demolition Missions is in the live chat.
Yep.
And he said, "Are you guys going to do anything to streamline safety?" And that's something that we've talked about.
Definitely,
we need to find a way. We need to find a way to unilaterally find a way to implement that or make some recommendations on those topics. But that's another point that when you go to a show, you watch the whole thing. Look at how safe the cars are that are being built.
And let's be honest, as a driver, sometimes I don't care about safety, but it's not the right answer. It's not, like all of us will just throw things like, it's okay. But maybe we could hurt other people. And we don't want any of that. And safety is actually a thing that needs to be part of Demolition Derby. And it is, the committee actually has brought it up, and we had a very good conversation about it. But Chris is right. It's still evolving. What do we do with safety? But it's definitely on the list of stuff to talk about.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, absolutely.
As it were. And on the topic of safety, beyond that, also something that's in the works that is going to be coming out. That should be coming out here in the next maybe week and a half or so. Is the development of a Master Tech program.
Oh, let's talk about that. It's the coolest part. I think.
This is something that Russ and Tim were really involved with. So I'm glad that Russ that wasn't planned. I'm glad Russ called in because he was involved with that conversation. Master Tech program. So basically, you've got really good inspectors that have done tons of national shows that come in and they are part of so to say with well, I got a comment right there, so we gotta do some business on the Facebook page. We got a guy that's listening in right now, but the Master Tech program, you've got these highly skilled inspectors that have all this experience. Well, if we can get them on board and go through and compile a pool of names and contact information of Master Tech, so to say, that meet a particular criteria, they are then available. Like, let's say Tim gets an emergency over there, or they got more cars than they can handle, and they need additional hands, or Ben's in a situation where he needs additional hands. You can just go right to this place. You've got names and ways of contacting individuals that you already know are skilled and good at what they're going to do. You're not just walking around the pits hoping for an extra set of hands. Also, beyond that, in addition to being accredited, those guys at Smash It pitched the idea with Sam. Said, what if you had a car that was built specifically for a particular event, and it's cheated? It's built by a good dude, and they say, go ahead and hide whatever you can, and you have to find 80%, 85%, 90% of the stuff that's cheated on this car, and if you can do that, then you're into the program, so to say. You're on your way towards.
I love
and also
that.
Gives you face-to-face time with the promoters, so they get to know you a little bit more and things along those lines. And it's all, again, coming back to making the sport as a whole stronger.
Yeah, and Inspector, when this was brought up, this was actually brought up a little bit down the line after we started the NDC, and when it came on and we talked about it on the committee, the whole committee was like, yes, yes, Inspectors is one of the most important parts of our shows that are so overlooked. But and Tim and Russ were right on. They were saying some great things when I heard them, because they said, Josh, we went through 470 cars. We don't have enough inspectors. I don't want to pull a random guy from I want to pull a legit, respected. How do I find those guys? Well, I know the answer. It's going to be on the NDC. Right next to all the great vendors you can use is all the great inspectors that are out there that are accredited, and you can go right there and say, like, bam, my head tech is sick. Ben Haas is free. Ben, come on out. You've already proven yourself. The drivers are going to respect you. You know what you're looking for, and you can help our show out. And how great is that? And how cool would it be for inspectors, these big name inspectors, to go to all these different shows, and you know that you're going to the show and it's like, Mike Decker's going to be there, and it's like, shit, I'm not going to cheat because I know they're going to have a good inspector there.
Well, I'm here to tell you that already goes on right now. That's what it's not. It might be an overlooked part of a show, but it is the most important part of a show.
Agreed.
Because that will make or break.
And we've been, and actually Russ said that.
Russ, I mean, how important
said that.
How important is good inspection, Russ?
This is actually one part that would really help people out. I mean, you guys were at the Bash a few weeks back. We were overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
We brought in extra guys. We always do. We figured we could handle it, and then we wasn't ready for what we had. I mean, it killed the officials that worked for us. It just worked us into the dirt all weekend. And it would help if there was a list of people that we could just go to and say, hey, these guys are on the up and up. They're going to do the right thing. They have integrity.
Yes.
I mean, nobody's going to find everything on every car. Things are going to be missed. You look at so many, Ben, you can attest to this.
Exactly.
I mean, it happens. Mistakes happen. Things get missed. That's fine. That's one thing. But if you have an official that lets things through that he knows is there, that's something totally different.
Exactly.
Nobody wants that.
Exactly.
But this will curve that.
Really help out.
Yeah, this will curve. This will curve if there is a promoter, or I'm sorry, inspector that maybe is letting stuff through. He's going to think twice when there's 4 other great inspectors that their name's on the line. I'm part of the NDC. My name is on this line right now. You better tell them that I found this. You won't see as much things getting through because it's their word, and other guys are going to catch it because there's equivalent inspectors at that show.
Yeah, that would be a great help for all promoters. I mean, and you guys touched on, me and Tim, when Smash It was formed 16 years ago, we never dreamed of being as big as we were. We just set out with one simple goal, to be the best at what we do.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
To make the right decisions, treat the drivers fairly, treat the fans like they belong there, welcome everybody with open arms.
Yes.
And it's gotten us to where we're at now. And,
Right.
and that's a thing that we will not change from. We don't listen to outside influence too much when we write rules, how we run our shows, things like that. I mean, in our minds, this is the way it has to be. And that's something will never change, no matter what organization we're part of or anything. We have the vision, and that's what we want. And, you know, and this NDC is going to be great. I mean, Tim and I go to 15, 20 shows a year just to watch what happens,
Right.
what's working, what don't work, what does drivers want.
Yep.
And with this, I mean, we always go as just spectators and just walk around the pits. With this, when promoters sign up for the NDC, they're not hiding anything. They're open. So we'll be able to see the back part.
Exactly. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
the things that would help me and Tim, you know, that you normally don't see when you're at a show. A lot of people don't realize how much work behind the scenes goes on, how that stuff is dealt with.
Exactly. And that's what makes a good show, is the little stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And if we could all help each other behind the scenes, then when the Derby Day shows up, it's great from beginning to end. You go home happy, you got your money worth, all that stuff. And that's
you don't have to tow back home without smashing your car.
right. And exactly. And we don't want that.
And one thing, I mean, you know, all promoters, I would love to help anybody that wants it. New guys want to start being promoters, and I'd probably say don't do it because it's a headache.
Yeah. Yes.
But on the other thing, there's points that there's things you have to have. You have to have your insurance. You have to have different safety regulations. There's a lot of stuff that people don't realize before they put on a derby. You know, it's not just show up the day of the show and do it. This has turned into a full-time second job for me and Tim both.
Right.
You know, so
But how great.
you know, anytime we could help anybody out, we'd greatly do it. I mean, that's not a problem. But
And that's the point of this, is when you want to become a promoter, you call Tim and Russ. They're good guys. They know what they're doing. You can,
Call anybody. Call Tim and Russ. Call any.
whoever's part of the NDC.
Right.
They'll all give you good answers.
It's looking. I mean, Ben's already a member, but it's looking like Total Destruction is probably going to be coming on as a regional promoter. It's looking like Total Destruction is good.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
So boom. New York has. I mean, how many shows do you guys have, Ben? Boom. You guys are already touching all the drivers in this area. And all we're asking, guys that are listening, if you're a promoter, get on board and open this up to your drivers. Just let your drivers be part of it. They want to be. You know, and hopefully over the next couple of days, everyone starts hearing this. But I really think
the other big thing, Josh, is that fans are able to sign up and be part of this as well. And Tim and Russ, and I know that there's some other places that have expressed this as well, that you know what they can control, they're willing to discount. So let's say you want to get a pit pass, you just going to watch, but you want a pit pass. You know, you'll get a discount there as a fan if you're just going to go watch.
Boom.
In a situation like Bash for Cash, where Tim and Russ run the grounds in full all day, they have the ability, if they want to designate a particular window, a particular gate to NDC members, they can go there, and the spectators going into the grandstands.
Yep.
Can get
and
tickets
that
off.
is exactly the vision.
And that's
the
again,
vision.
it's keeping fans coming, returning as the fans. I mean, so many of the fans are drivers, but there's still people out there that are just derby nuts. I mean, I've never driven a car.
Yep. You're gonna.
I keep hearing that.
You're gonna.
You make me really nervous.
You're going to.
But you know, it's one of those things where there's people out there that are nuts crazy fans, and there's families of those drivers that aren't going to be on the track, that want to go watch that car get destroyed after their families poured all sorts of time and effort into it. And that's that thing where it's a return. Again, back to trying to help those guys that have been
and
so
the
supportive.
small guys, Chris. Like people are saying, these are for big guys. Right there is the prime example why it's for the small guys. For all of us that work every day, all day, we got our families, we're struggling through life. $5 helps, $10 here, $20 at the end of the day you saved on this, that. It makes a difference, guys. It makes I know it's a small dollar amount, but throughout the year, you saved here, you saved there. It's more money you get to spend with your family and on different things, or you get to buy more derby parts with it. That's what I would do. But you know, it's there's so many great things about this, and I hope everyone's listening. And I think this will actually maybe start some more questions. And I hope it does actually, because then maybe we have a second special to answer even more questions. But this is being done for the right reasons, and the big dogs are on board. Okay, because they feel it's right. And we had to start on top because it will kind of trickle down when everyone says, like, okay, the guys that just their life and their soul is Demolition Derby are saying this is a great thing for the sport. Maybe guys that don't care as much, or the smaller guys as it goes down, listen to that. And these guys aren't making money. Tim and Russ aren't. The only way Tim and Russ makes more money is their shows grow. And that's the point of this too, is they're more on target, their shows grow, they do better. No one's putting money in their pocket besides themselves. They're growing and they put their own same with vendors. Vendors are saying, we got to give money away, Josh. How does that work for us? On the backside of it, guys, is we're telling people to go to you. Yeah, you gave that guy $5 more, but 10 more people just came to you because they know that you're a great person.
Exactly.
And that's how vendors make more money. Do we kind of see that, how that kind of rolls down?
Oh, yeah.
And that's our goal, is each person helps each other. Tim's going to have good vendors. More guys are going to spend money at Tim's vendors because they know they're good vendors. More people are going to spend money at Tim's shows because they know he's a great show. Right?
Well, now that you guys are all the vendors, well, I'll touch on one thing and I'll let you guys go.
Please.
The vendor part of it, I mean, it would be a great help to us. I mean, like at the Bash this year, we had a bunch of vendors there. I don't know who was all there. But when this NDC starts to go and you create a list, if there's a list of vendors on there that are ripping drivers off or not standing behind their parts or things like that, we wouldn't allow them there. I mean,
Right.
the first thing we'd do is throw them right out of there.
Boom.
Right.
The last thing we want anybody to do
Is burn your drivers.
is the Derby drivers.
Yep.
I mean, these are all good people.
Yep.
They spend their hard-earned money on something they love. And the last thing we need to do is somebody to rip them off. It's just wrong.
Right.
You know, so, and then with that, I mean, we don't plan on eliminating any parts by if you're a member, if you're not a member. That's a question that came up earlier. I've heard probably 20 times in the last week, because we made a comment before the Bash about these parts are starting to get crazy. That was brought up way before this NDC even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
It was.
Yeah.
Now you're right on that.
Nothing to do with it, and
Nope.
you know, just to kind of curb that. That was me and Tim talking over the week, you know, over the winter, of seeing different pictures of things. Like, hey, we don't like this, we don't like this.
Yeah.
Now with this, if this vendors sign on, we can have conversations with them. Hey, this is a little bit too crazy. This is, you know, does it change the way they make things? I don't know. Hopefully, you know, they'll take it into consideration, but.
If nothing else, it opens the
we
lines
can
of
do it.
conversation.
So
And that's all we can ask.
it's
Is
an
guys are confused.
avenue
Yeah.
to be able to talk to vendors.
Yes.
And the greatest tools we had in our toolbox is the drivers and the fans. With this NDC, now it's other promoters we can talk to and vendors. You know, hey, we're having a problem with this. How did you handle this problem? And you know, so it's a great thing. You see a national thing, and you know.
Right.
We
Absolutely
see
right.
things all over the country behind the scenes, and it does help it. And hopefully it helps everybody get better.
It's one of those things where it seems all too easy to talk about the bad stuff about the sport, and to get shrouded in that negativity and get caught in that vortex. Now that I guess, and Josh, you've already echoed this in the past when we've talked about it. The NDC is taking a lot of the good parts that nobody knows about and trying to elevate those and put it into everybody's light, be it good customer service with vendors, outstanding shows and flows and opportunities for drivers, and then, you know, rewards and kickbacks for the people that make the sport viable and that keep it happening, which is the fans and the drivers and the builders.
100% correct. 100% correct. As simple as that. I mean, yes, I my head is so full of stuff I want to say, but I don't know which direction
Three
to go now.
Stooges syndrome, where all the thoughts try to come out of your mouth at the same time and nobody gets through. I understand.
No, I think Russ is right on there. I mean, what he said was right. No one's trying to change. We're not trying to change the rules, the how things are built, or not. That stuff is. We're not trying to change that daily stuff that's going on. We're trying to more the back side of it, the stuff that, like you said, Chris, people are missing. Drivers haven't. Until I got on this NDC committee, I didn't even realize a lot of this stuff was going on behind the scenes. Not that I didn't understand. I didn't think of it. I just didn't think of it as a driver. But now it really opened my eyes. There's so much to this sport that we just all need to kind of stick together and elevate. And if we do, we'll all grow with it. I mean, it's just as simple as that.
It's you can see all these loose pieces, and it doesn't take much foresight and thought to see how these pieces can connect. And when you put all those pieces together, the vision of that and the potential and buying into that idea and really dedicating to try and get those pieces to come together, the opportunities are huge.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, with the way things are teetering, we've only got a few steps between where we are and where we're going to either make it go or just to have everything completely fall off. I think the sport's healthy. I think it's heading in good directions. I think that split that we've talked about a gazillion times between the extreme build and the stock build, there's room for both of those there.
Yep.
I think that this is going to be the umbrella and the bucket that catches all that stuff and just brings the whole package right up to the next step.
Absolutely. And real quick, I just want to throw that out there. When you say modified, stock, and compact, when we had
Depends on where you're standing in the country, how dumb you sound.
well, but drivers that are saying to themselves, "Oh, it's only modified," it's not, guys. If you're I'm a stock driver, okay. I'm honest. I'm a stock driver. I cannot go compete with Toby Hiley, but I can compete with other stock drivers. I feel so when a national show comes out, I want to run in the stock show. I'm going to be qualifying at my regionals. Now I can't, but what I'm saying is a driver should be saying, I want to qualify at all these regionals. I want to be one of the stock. I want to be the stock national championship. Tons of guys are going to want that. Tons of guys are going to want to be compact, and tons of guys are going to be modified. So we're trying to open it up for everywhere. And we're not saying, like Russ says, you're not going to have to build Ohio rules. And we're not want to change Ohio rules. We don't want to change UD rules. But as you move around the country, you can build different ways. But you still can build stock if you want.
You're bringing more opportunities for everybody to the table.
Yes.
It's not just
when the year starts, for all of us, we're buying cars. Or when you pick up a car, you say, first thing you say is, where am I going to take this thing? Now there's more shows that you can say to yourself, hey, it's going to be great from beginning to end. They're all great people. My family will enjoy it. I mean, Tim and Russ's show was such a family event. I was so shocked with that because our fairs aren't really like that. But I would love to take my kids there. My kids would love the whole weekend, the Power Wheels and the camping and the. It was a family atmosphere. It was awesome, and we need more places like that.
The only national rules anybody's really trying to implement universally is Power Wheels, just so the kids don't get caught on fire by motorcycle batteries.
Oh, you can't do that? Because I was building my kid one, and I was going to do that. Can you run Optimas or
Get out of here.
Oh, I've seen it.
Russ, I mean, anything else that you wanted to hit on? I mean, you're more than welcome to stay on, hang out with us here. Any other topics that you wanted to touch on for your drivers?
I've just been getting some questions the last couple of weeks on this, and and I just want to spell out some things that just like you guys have touched on. As a promoter, first time I heard unified rules 10, 12 years ago, first thing popped in my head is like, hey, that'd be a great thing. And then now I'm going to derbies all over the country.
It won't work.
I've gone to a bunch of shows all over the place, and it won't work.
No.
And there's no way it could ever work.
Nope.
Because what I'm used to here is a world of difference from what you guys are used to in New York.
Yes.
Or what they're used to on the West Coast.
Yes.
Now, like through the Midwest, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, out in Sam Williams region, the rules don't differ too much, but it's just a small part of the country. Everything else is totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the unified rules would never work.
No, because everybody has their own personal different interpretation, and that's
promoters and builders at the same show have a different interpretation.
It don't matter because you go, you Josh Decker on the East Coast, read these rules and build a car. Take the same set of rules
and give them to Jimmy Johnson. And let's see how Jimmy pulls
Jimmy
them.
Johnson. Give them to Gaffin, or give them to Troy Tagg, or give them to somebody all over the country. The exact same rules all come to the same show. Way different builds.
Holy cow!
With the exact same rules. So
yes.
It's just everybody's personal interpretation is different, and that's where I personally I feel I agree. It's unified would never work.
No.
And you hit on a good thing there. I mean, at the Bash alone, we had drivers from 17 states and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen 20 different ways.
That's
to build
awesome.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Exactly.
Yep. But the people down south read into them are different than what people out west read into them.
Exactly.
East read into them.
Yep.
Yep. So I mean, none of the ways are wrong. It's just the way that used to building cars and the way things are worded.
And we're not looking to touch that.
Well, and that's
not looking to touch that.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Russ, but that's where this Master Tech thing is such a great idea.
Exactly.
Because then you have a group of inspectors that are pretty much all on the same playing field.
Hey, they've seen 20 style of builds.
You know,
absolutely.
and it's all about interpretation and all about these are our set of rules and these are the set of rules and this is what our interpretation is to the builders on these different sets of rules.
Yeah.
And that's where it can be so great for everybody.
Yep.
Because you're not going to get you're not going to have a whole bunch of pissed off people because you're changing the interpretation of what they're used to build to,
Yes, totally.
So that's,
totally, and it helps the smaller places because the smaller places could take you guys too, and teach their guys not only their inspectors that you're helping, but also their drivers. When the driver comes up, it's like, hey, dude, next time if I were you, I'd do this, this, and this.
I just went through that yesterday. I mean, we had a handful of guys that never run our shows before. Yep, and just
out to lunch.
Well, they didn't even read the rules to start with, but everybody's fixed. Was willing to fix stuff, and it turned out to be a great day. I mean, but I didn't mean to interrupt you, Russ. Sorry.
With the interpretation of the rules, I really seen a difference at the Bash this year. I mean, I paid attention to it, where people were coming from other places in. So what I've done since the Bash, I have got 4 drivers from different parts of the country, none of them from Ohio. That has actually taken our turn back the clock rules and rewriting them in their words, how they perceive how it's written on the page. And then when they're done with them, they're going to send them back to me. That way I can read how different parts of the country interpret the way we've written the rules and take that in consideration when I write them again for next year.
Well, oh, yeah.
So sure. Great decision.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Yep.
And that, can I say, like, things like that just one good thing, when we're on these committee conversations with all these guys across the country, everyone keeps throwing these great ideas out. And I wish I wrote them all down because, like, every time we have these meetings, it's like, wow, Russ, great idea. Johnny, great idea. And everyone's thinking of ways to help the sport together. Right. And there's some really great ideas out there that by yourself you wouldn't think of. No. But guys from here or there are thinking of them and saying them, and maybe we can execute them. And that's kind of what this is about.
Right.
Is being able to execute the great things of the sport and help other people execute them.
Rules should be 3 pages long. Hatebreed in the live chat just chimed in, and
I like 1 page long, but
well, you have a half a page for Pena and you didn't read it.
Well, it's half a page. Why should I read it? It's only half a
page. More than 2 sentences, they're not going to read it. They're going to glance through it.
Right. I'm going to build my car and just bring torches.
Yeah,
Ohio
style.
Most of them have the most of them have the cliff notes of the rules.
The cliff
and the cliff notes.
You know what's so funny is, like, when we go places, people say to me, like, "Yeah, I built my car Ohio style." I start hearing that all the time. Like, that's gonna be like the new thing now.
I heard that yesterday. My car's built Ohio style. I came early so you can tell me where I got to cut.
I love that. That's funny.
I heard that it was built Ohio style yesterday. Then you've inspected cars out here, Josh. You guys were out there.
No.
And I just
built Ohio style.
No,
absolutely not.
No, what the logic was when he said he built it Ohio style was he built it how he wanted, and he just brought torches and figured he was gonna have to cut.
Exactly.
So I laughed. It was a younger kid. I mean, he's
good guy.
Yeah, I mean, he actually ended up winning the Derby.
Yep.
But
he did good.
He real good shit. He's called me with a lot of questions, and he come off with that, and I just started laughing.
It's awesome.
I walked over to his car, and I just shook my head and started laughing. He goes, "What's so funny?" I says, "Not even close, dude. Not even close."
No, you need way more plates.
But no, it's funny how the Ohio style build gets thrown around now.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
But that's the great thing about this show is, like, we've kind of brought things to different areas that guys haven't heard. Like, that's one thing I love about the show, and I think the show can help the NDC is because we can immediately get out to you, and things can from this area can evolve in this area. Like, look, the Ohio. Now you're gonna hear it all year long. You know you are, Ben.
By no means, it's not a negative. It's not a negative comment.
No,
either. It's
a complimentary thing.
Yeah, and it's because everybody's like,
they're trying to up their game.
We got to get our cars like that. We got to get our cars like that. They're nasty.
Listen, Ohio's up there, man. Ohio builders are right at the top, man, and everyone wants to get to that. I think.
I've taken a couple of private messages on the Crash Course page about some of the stuff that we've said about, and people misunderstanding some of the things that we've alluded to. We're not saying at all ever that New York or Pennsylvania drivers are going to go to Ohio and drive through those drivers. We're not saying that that's the best build. We're not saying that we're not coming down on guys that use engine cradles or things along those lines. It's just reference points, and in no way are we trying to put anybody down. We don't want to do that.
No.
Hey, there's plenty of drivers in every state. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And anybody can come to this. Well, shit. Last 2 years proves it. Anybody can come to this state and win.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
the guy from Illinois won the 80s class this year. And last year was a guy from Canada.
Yep.
You know, so they can compete.
We gotta.
Ohio's a different breed. I mean, people here are really serious about derbies. They love it.
Yep.
They breathe it. They eat it. They sleep it.
Exactly.
You know, so
But that's another cool thing is so many different. He said 17 states in Canada. Have you ever been a driver and said, "I'm not going to go to that show because I'm going to get my ass run over because it's all locals"? That's what we're trying to take away too. Look, his show is such a great example of. There's so many guys there. Is you're not by yourself because the majority of guys are by themselves.
Well, that too, and there's the different, like we brought up earlier. Everybody is seeming to starting to incorporate the later build classes into their bigger shows. So that is taking that whole scapegoat, I call it, of I'm not going to a bigger show because I'm going to get my ass handed to me because I can't build.
Just run
that.
a different class.
Just run the class you're comfortable
Exactly.
with. Because, don't get me wrong, there's all over the country in different levels. There's awesome drivers everywhere. And like you brought up earlier, just in down the road, pictures down the road, 2015, 16, whatever, having a national event of the national champions of and possibly have people coming from everywhere.
How cool.
In their specific
Gotta try it.
group, in their specific element that they're comfortable in building in, and that's going to be one hell of a show.
Absolutely.
Well, Russ, I mean, I really appreciate you calling in. We got a couple other calls that are starting to back up here that I'm going to try and get to. The next in line, the gentleman was just calling here, and I couldn't get to him. So, but Russ,
not a problem.
I do appreciate you calling in,
thanks for
and
calling
hopefully that helps answer some of the questions for you guys out there. We had a guy that was having a little bit of trouble getting in and getting into the live chat, or excuse me, getting in and listening to it, and he just messaged me. Josh Stone is his name. He's listening at home. He says answered a lot of questions for the people. Thank you. So that was cool.
That's what today's about.
Well, you guys have a nice day, and the next time I see you, it'll probably be a Blizzard Bash.
Probably so.
All right,
Good,
Russ.
sir.
We'll see you soon.
later.
See ya.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Yeah,
too.
you too.
Now, Ben, some great points that you just
We got
had
you
there.
there?
I mean,
Hey,
Well, I
Chris.
just
I hope guys are seeing how all this, and this has all been thought through. This isn't something like it was
Wayne
a
Harris,
2-day
can I-
thing. We've been doing just.
Can I put you in? Hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. Let me put you right in, okay? Hang on. This is Wayne Harris. Hey, Wayne, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
He's from up in Quebec, Canada.
Awesome.
Nice.
How about that?
Awesome.
Go
Nice.
ahead, man.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for
Great.
calling in, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I live up here in Campbell's Bay, Quebec, Canada. I do a lot of the small shows, straight stock and pro stock, and I really like the set of rules that you guys are running, and like down in the States, and how you're trying to get the promoters and the drivers, and this will really trickle down into the smaller shows to help us build, to make more money, to help the drivers get to the next level. I really, really give you a thumbs up here from Canada,
Awesome.
because we don't got many people in Canada area that builds good quality parts and that.
Right.
Don't know where to go and how to get to them. And when you get a magazine out and you say, okay, these guys are the ones that build, you know what I mean? And then the little guys ain't getting mixed up.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's
Yeah, that's great.
That's the point of it, and that's actually a great point. Is the guys in a little bit smaller areas that don't have vendors coming to their shows, they don't know where to go, and this
No.
is a great point for a
Like,
smaller place.
When
Boom, where do I go?
started last year, I ran a pro stock truck, and I ran up against some pro mods, and they had some better stuff. So this year I built a pro mod, but I built everything myself. I'm not a licensed welder or anything like that, but I build as best as I can, and I'm going to take the show, and I'm proud of what I've done. I wouldn't sell it to anybody else because I don't know it works and stuff.
Right.
But it's something I'm proud of, and it shows the younger people that, hey, you can do it on a cheap budget. You don't need $20,000 rear ends. You don't need $30,000 engine cradles. to have a good time and promote your small towns and help your communities that you're running in.
Absolutely right.
Sure.
Nice.
Yep.
Absolutely right.
Yep.
I like it. Hatebreed, one of the guys that's in the live chat, has just offered this idea to keep inspecting more honest. To keep inspection more honest. You have your entry fee, but you have an inspection fee. So your entry fee is only going to be $10. Your pit pass is only going to be $10. But every time you have to come through inspection line, you got to pay $20.
I've actually heard a place before. It's a great idea. Actually.
I mean, I bet you don't have to come through multiple times. That's a great idea.
It
like
actually
that.
is a great idea. That's a good one.
I went to a derby there yesterday. It was free entry. Everybody had to pay at the gates. But that gives the fair board more money to put in for prize money.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
Sure.
So it's pretty cool. So keep it up. I'm behind you 100% up here.
Thank you.
And,
Thanks, man.
hopefully this all trickles down into Canada to make our shows bigger, just like Bash for Cash. Maybe we'll have something like that in 3 to 4 years down here with the pro motors.
That'd be cool.
Wouldn't that be
Nice.
cool?
Nice.
Exactly
You gotta
right.
start somewhere. And NASCAR did it 20-some years ago. They started together, and look where they are today.
Exactly.
And this is where they started, and hats off to you guys, and keep it up.
Thank you,
I'm
man.
Behind you 100%.
That's
right.
thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thanks a
much,
lot.
and I keep in contact with you guys and watch Crash Course on the internet and that, and I really appreciate it. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot, and I'll let you go, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers in U.S. and all over Canada. Spend some time with your kids, because that's the next generation also.
Definitely.
Nice.
That's
Thanks
cool,
a lot.
man. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for calling in. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye now.
What a great point, though.
Yeah.
Maybe the promoters in Canada start seeing the great things that are going on down here, and it evolves to Canada. Great call.
But they don't even have to go. Just look at the model. You don't
That's
have
what
to
I'm
use the
saying.
same rules.
Yeah, no,
You
that's
know,
what I'm
the
saying.
thing.
That's what I'm saying.
There's stuff that works for everybody.
Reference points. It's all it is. You
And the
have
guys from
reference
Canada
points.
say, like, okay, here's a list of people I can call. Actually, I got some questions. Let me call Russ.
Yeah.
And maybe Russ can help me at my show.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Exactly.
And about spending time with your children, absolutely. I don't know if anyone can hear noise in the background. It's my children.
And it was the phone.
It's my children.
They're
I'm
doing
being
all right.
great. I love you guys. You're doing
But we had some comments come in. The NDC Facebook page got a message that we're gonna have to tackle that one off the air, because I can't read the whole thing. It's a long message. Yeah, I didn't get through all of it on my phone. But we did have some stuff coming up on the Crash Course page today. Chase Mollering, the way we described it, has helped convince me I'm in. And there was another fella out in Ohio who Justin Adelman. He said convinced me in Ohio, especially after hearing Russ talk about it, and I run all his shows. I need the website.
Boom,
and the website's
Bam.
there. So
Can I ask this to all drivers that are listening? I'm looking you guys in the eye, please. Go
not if I
today.
change the camera, you're not.
Just put it on my face, because I want to see I'm serious. I'd like all guys, please, if you're listening to this, like the page, okay? Share the page and tell everybody to like the page. First, I want everyone, we got to get out there so everything we put on the NDC, everyone sees, just like on the US page. That's our goal also. So please, for me, I'm going to share it today. Go and share it, and when you share it, tell everybody, please like the page. Okay, that's how we got to get to everybody first. The next step is getting everybody to be members. When you become a member, please let everybody know that you're a member. We're actually going to start. We're going to start getting some things out there, like as vendors join, as promoters join. We're going to start pushing it out there so everyone's like, oh man, he's on. That's kind of a goal too for us. But please go on there, like the page, share the page, become a member, and there'll be more questions. There's no reason we can't have a second special.
We got a huge boost from Finger Lakes 1. They told us that Sunday mornings are open if we need to do this again. That the phone line and the studio will be available.
Nice.
So
That's great.
So that was really cool from them. So I don't want any of our regular Crash Course people all of our listeners to think that we're making a change. Our spot is Mondays at 6 o'clock Eastern.
Yep.
We're not changing that.
We'll
But
just do
if we
specials.
need to do some special stuff on Sundays, I don't want to do 2 shows a week.
No, that's 4 hours of driving for me.
But
Don't do it.
I'm certainly willing to if we need to do additional shows or anything like that to sort of have that back and forth. We've got the support of Finger Lakes 1 as well as the opportunities to do so.
So, are we wrapping up? We're trying to wrap up.
What else you got? I mean,
No, I wanna wrap up. I wanna wrap up.
Yeah, we're coming up on an hour and a half.
My kids I can see them. They're getting stressed out.
Yes.
What I want here is if we could just do an overview, if I could, for drivers. Obviously, you guys got me. You're saving money everywhere you go. You're saving money on vendors and stuff too.
Fans are getting the same
Yes.
opportunity. So if maybe a fan wants to get out of the grandstands and try, they've got an opportunity to get a little bit of a break there as well. Actually, we're not going to be wrapping it up. Here we go.
Go ahead, give it to me. Let's hear it. Come on, I want to answer these. Bring them, because I got the answers.
This is Chris. You're live on the Crash Course.
Overview. Hello.
Hey, how are you? This is Chris. You're live.
What's up?
You're on.
Hello.
You're on.
I'm on.
You
Yes,
are,
sir.
You are on.
I can hear you.
Oh, hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey guys, how are you? I recognize that voice.
This is Troy Tag from California.
Nice, Troy. It's got to be like 5 in the morning over there. What's up, Troy?
What's happening, man?
Hey,
I've been listening to the podcast. Everything's going good, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Very good.
I think we covered a lot of bases. I mean, what do you think from your perspective?
Man, I think everything went well. A lot of information. Josh Decker did a good job, man.
Thank you,
Explaining
buddy.
stuff. So did Chris.
Did we miss anything, Troy? Because Troy's been involved in the committee conversations. He's heard. I mean, we've had some great conversations. Is there anything that I missed or Chris missed today that you want to touch on?
You guys covered everything pretty well. What gets me is how you guys want to make everything get better, right? That's what sold me on this whole thing, right? That, you're trying to make the tech better, you're trying to get the vendors better, you're trying to help promoters.
Yeah.
That's what sold me. I've done this for a long time, and I've been bamboozled and flim-flammed by promoters for 30 years, man.
Yep.
I say it's about time, and thank you, whoever came up with this idea, because I'm sold on it 100%.
Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and the support out there from all you guys. We certainly appreciate that. You guys shared that vision right away, and you were believing in it right as soon as we got up and going, and we appreciate that backing.
Yeah. Nope. I am willing to do whatever it takes to help the sport. I'm a driver. I'm for the drivers. And I want to see stuff get better, man. And I think that that's what you guys want to do. It sounds pretty complicated with everything you guys got going on. You're trying to do the master check. You're helping promoters. You're doing the vendor thing, all the way down to the fans. But at the end of the day, you're just trying to make stuff better for the sport.
The hardest part is if you don't somehow tackle everything. We put a lot of thought into it, and yeah, it does sound complicated. I've heard that from a couple places as well. But the hardest part is as soon as you don't somehow address it up front in the initial launch, that's one of the first things that people are going to latch onto, and you're going to get beat up on. So we tried to at least have the bases covered.
Yep.
Have a plan in place so that as things evolve, we've got a common evolution on all the pieces at the same time. Instead of having, okay, we're just focusing here. We got this up on his feet now. 2 years later, now that all this is running smooth. 2 years later, we're going to try and bring this element in. And there's two different ways of looking at it. I was of the opinion that we got enough good people in the sport that want to be involved with it, and enough good people involved with the program that we've got in front of us right now, that when we start delegating things and start breaking stuff off and start assigning some tasks to each other,
That's what I want to
that
say.
right there, we're going to be able to pull all this stuff off at the same time. Yes, you eat the elephant one bite at a time, but at the same time, I think we got a lot of mouths that are going to be able to eat this thing.
But let's go back to the beginning of it was why we wanted vendors, promoters, and drivers is because eventually you have to delegate. And that's the great thing about this board is we're already starting to delegate. The vendors are going to help vendors. The drivers help drivers. The promoters help promoters. So, yeah, you're like, man, there's a lot of stuff right there. But not one guy is trying to do it all. We're actually starting to delegate it, and you'll have groups of guys helping other groups. And I think that's how we're going to spread it out. And if you want to help, you want to be part and help, please let us know. I mean, we want everybody involved in this. If you want to be help, if you think you can help, we're on board for that. Please.
I think you guys are doing a good job, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Thanks,
I
Troy.
wanted to say that.
Thanks.
Thanks, man.
So, as
But he's also seen a lot of great stuff in his area, and it's great from someone way over in California to tell somebody over in Ohio, hey, maybe you could do this, it would help. Maybe you could do that, it would help. And Troy's definitely a guy that's been for the love of the sport. I think everyone knows that. And he's a guy, why the guy like him is on the board is because, I mean, you hear him. He loves it as much as the rest of us, and he just wants positive, and he just wants our kids to have Derbian and their kids to have Derbian. I know some people are saying the sport's dying. Trust me, you are 100% wrong.
No, it's
you
not
are
dying.
100% wrong. We've been around the country. It's not dying. There's guys more motivated than ever.
Dude, we'll be smashing smart cars.
You're damn right we will.
You know what I
I
mean?
won't
It's-
be.
it's-
I won't. No 80s stuff for me. No 2000s. Someday I'll be saying, like, I don't want to run 2000s.
It'll be, we'll be getting special batteries for the Chevy Volts in about 10 years.
I'm
It's like,
retiring. Somebody else can do that. When
but,
Imperials are gone, I'm done.
but it's not by no means is it dying, and I
No.
agree with you 100%. I mean, it was the first time I met him and actually talked to them out at Bash, and super passionate guys about the sport, super nice guys. I
Yep.
mean, just it's.
And that's the kind of person we want us all to be. Is
And I mean,
like just be for it, just be with it, for it.
Yeah,
You know,
and
and it'll grow.
yeah.
It will grow.
Yeah,
and I know
absolutely.
what guys are saying is we're right at the beginning. It's like, well, there's not a lot of people signed up or whatever, but we're at the beginning, guys. Let's work and help each other make it grow.
Yep.
We got Scott Brown from Buffalo.
Nice.
Nice Buffalo.
Hey, Scott, can you hear us?
yeah, definitely.
Great, man.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
Ask you guys. I mean, I love what's going on. I've been a driver for 16 years, unfortunately, with JM Production. Sorry about that. But
Everybody's got to do what you got to
see-
do.
What's that?
You got to do what you got to do. Some people can't keep driving. You
No.
know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean it's in my backyard, so it makes it easy for me with a guy that doesn't have much money, if any.
Yep.
But I like what's going on. I wanted to ask you guys: do you see it changing this area? Because like here, you have 3 major derbies: Dunkirk, Little Valley, Erie County Fair. You can't take the same car to either one of those guys.
Well, I'll tell you this we're not looking to go and say those 3 derbies need to change and get on unified rules. Not even nothing like that. But what our goal would be, Scott, is eventually maybe you'd start going. Go ahead.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
What are some of the challenges that you're facing out there, Scott? I mean, what are some of the things that it seems like maybe there's an underlying question to this. What's the instead of us coming out and telling those guys, look, this is how you have to do things. That's not really what we're about. But is there something in particular that's a challenge to your area that you'd like to see changed or upgraded?
Some of the challenges, is obviously price of cars out here is ridiculous.
Sure.
I mean, guys wanting $1,000 for a car to run in a bone stock show at the fair.
Yeah.
Win $1,000?
I do it all the
Yeah,
time. It's sad. isn't it?
Yeah. It's,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of ridiculous, but if we could all get on the same page with some rules, had a set of, say, stock class rules, like, because I don't know if you guys know, I was kind of working with Johnny Gullo with this Buffalo show,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
and I love his rules.
Mhm.
We're using his rules, and I'm hoping this opens up people's eyes and show, hey, what a great show you can have.
Now that is actually
Yep.
now you're right on the right target here. Is
Right.
a promoter that's part of the NDC that has great rules, branching out and showing other areas. Hey, we're bringing. This is a great point. This is a great point. He's going to bring his rules. Your area is going to love the rules, and maybe your area evolves by saying, "I can see what other places are doing."
Right, or like what, or bringing that class of rules to a show.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Not
Sure.
saying, okay, this whole show's got to change totally. You're
We
still
want to
gonna
have Stern Dirt rules modified heat or whatever.
Stern Dirt rules.
Yep, a
heat,
smash it heat.
Bring
Yep.
it. This is, and that's. I feel. I mean, from what I got out of this is kind of what they're working towards, to bring different classes and different visions
Yes.
in, and not to change the whole the whole show. But
This is Johnny Gullo's idea in doing this show in Erie County.
to bring it,
in Hamburg, right?
And a great idea, because let's be honest, JM Productions are garbage promoters. They really don't care about the drivers at all. They zero. I'm telling you, zero. They take your cars at the end, guys.
Yes,
they take our cars, our top 3 cars. They keep them. Pretty sure
don't.
they smash them.
No,
I'll tell you this: they don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
Well, they still do it at State Fair.
Win the whole thing.
They still do it at State Fair.
The top 3 cars
Oh,
they
at the
take.
State Fair they do.
Top 3 cars.
Never made it up there, so.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is maybe J&M Productions sees like, okay, we need to evolve a little bit. There's where the sport's going. The guys love it.
Right.
My drivers that just came here, 10 cars showed up for my class, and the full show is Johnny Gullo's Stern Dirt class. That's going to say something.
So how can the NDC help Scott's situation, because he wants to either get more money into his area so that his drivers aren't taking such a hard hit in terms of buying shells for $1,000, and they want a little bit different set of rules to build to. What the NDC can do, Scott, is we can put you in touch with a couple different promoters that are on board that we know have good rules and good tech processes, and basically set in motion similar to what you've already got going on. And essentially that's what happened, because Johnny's an NDC member.
Yes.
So from there we can help you, and then at that
Plan on
point.
being one.
At that point, you can turn around and get us in contact with a local promoter, and we can put those 2 promoters together and open that line of conversation. And maybe at that point, your promoter will be willing to allow that style build or something like that, and try to bring those guys together. Because a lot of times in Derby that I've come across, and this is one of the reasons that I find some real advantages to what we've got here, is I struggle to find ways to contact people, because there's not a lot of that information is readily available.
Yeah.
You can try Facebook, but it requires 3 and 4 steps, and people have Facebook, maybe they don't use it, and there's still a lot of people out there that don't use computers.
Yeah.
People think that I'm dumb when I say that, but there's a lot of people out there that don't use computers.
Yep.
And this being able to sort of be that catalyst that brings people together. Ever hear that before in Crash Course? Being that catalyst to help continue to bring people together is really what we're trying to do, and I think that would be the way. To answer your question, ultimately, I think that would be the way the NDC could help you do that. While we're not going to come in and tell somebody how they need to do their shows, we can at least take you in touch with another promoter and get that set of rules to you, and in turn maybe get that promoter out someplace else to talk to your local guy.
And great point, Chris. Also, though, this might not change overnight, but we're all going to keep derbying. So let's try to let's just try to go this direction as we go. Slowly, Johnny Gullo comes in. You guys all love it. The promoter says, "Okay, I kind of accept what he's doing." It goes to the 2nd Derby and 3rd Derby in your area, and it could help.
Well, Johnny even mentioned bringing 12 Utah style cars, Stern Dirt cars, to Bash for Cash next year and having 1 heat. And he says we're only going to be out there for 9 minutes.
But hey, maybe enough guys say like, hey, next year have that heat again, but the New York guys want to join in, and the South Carolina guys want to join in, and that's I mean, that again, we're bringing fun, not only the great, but we're bringing more ideas and more fun to the sport, and isn't that what this is about?
Right.
Isn't that what this is about?
Exactly, and all in all, I mean, I'm glad I reached out to Johnny, and I hope things change around here. Maybe not next year, maybe not in 2,
Right.
but in the future. Because this sport means a lot to me. I 16 years of doing it, I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And last thing before I go, Chris, you got to come to that Buffalo show.
I know.
I was saying I want to go there too, but we're going to.
We got to be in. We're booked to be in Minnesota.
Yeah, we're going to be in Minnesota.
There's really nothing. There's, unless you want to talk to Darren Agard, I could gladly put you in touch with him. And you guys can work it out.
No, when I heard those guys,
I want to. I want to. It's just
we're so busy.
I can't.
Yeah.
It's contract thing, man. I can't do that to them. That's not gonna do anything good for anybody.
Right.
I apologize, and we'll talk more after the fact. We've kicked around some different ideas and things that we can try to make work. So we'll be in touch. I mean, I know we've talked about this before.
Yeah, I'm sure with the Gullos and Cialpas being there, there's going to be plenty of video to check out. So
yes,
I think Brockway's going to be there
lots,
too, right?
Yeah, Bobby's going to be there. Yeah,
Bobby Brockway is going to run J&M show.
You guys have a great Father's Day.
Thank you so much for calling in,
Thanks for
man.
coming on, man.
I appreciate it.
I said, Bobby Brockway, you want to go back 40 years? go to Run Chain Show, right? I mean, Bobby's not going to know. He's like, you
awesome.
can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, nothing Bobby has could probably work in there.
It's actually going to take him longer to build that car.
Yeah,
than
yeah,
it is normal cars, because he's going to put all the stuff in it and then be like, I got to take half the shit back out.
Exactly.
Well, I hate to end this, but at the same time, YouTube is going to end it for us. We're just about out of time on that limit, so we're butted right up against that. I hope we've answered some questions for everybody. It seems like the response has been pretty good. We appreciate all the guys that have hung out in the chat room all morning long. I mean, we're going on an hour and 45 minutes now, if you can believe that.
We could have gone double.
Yeah.
I still have stuff there's...
You know what? Basically, parting thoughts here before we go. I mean, it's pretty much a universal decision that we're going to do this again. Time frame TBA, but we probably will be doing this again.
Well, guys, again, let's go like the page, okay? Share it, become a member on it. If you have questions, start chucking them up on the page, okay? Then when we have a second special, we can just go right through your list and answer your questions. I know you guys are going to have questions. There's so many different ways to go with all the things that we said. It's like, oh man, that's so cool. I mean, you could spend all day talking about the inspection. We talked for hours on a committee just about the inspector part of it. Yeah. Think about all those things that we talked about today. Run them through your head, mill them through. If you got a negative, zip it right to the committee. You can zip it to me, to Chris, to anybody on the committee.
Josh is juggling all the Facebook messages that come into the NDC page.
I'm trying to, guys, and send them to me. I'm cool with it. I keep writing the same things, and sometimes I'll say, like, refer to the page, but you guys got to remember, 25 guys asked me that same question that day. I'm just, and sometimes I'm copying and pasting, and you guys will say, like, that doesn't make sense, because I'm copying and pasting from one guy, because there's just so much information. It's hard to write it out to you guys, but feel free to call me. I put my phone number up on Facebook. My phone number is 607-725-2194. Anybody has a question you want to just ask me straight out, don't even hesitate. Yeah, I don't give you my number because you'll harass me. But please, man, I hope everyone sees at the end of this, we're not hiding anything. This isn't what it's about. It's not about a money-making scheme. It is truly for the love of the sport. The amount of love that you have for it, I have for it, and every single person on that committee has for it. I'm dead honest. Mm-hmm. Support it. Be part of it, and we can change the sport together. It's just like every other sport did it. We can do it. So let's stick together. Please.
Any thoughts?
Like I said earlier, this is kind of like an informational session for me, for the most part. I mean, and I've been behind it myself. I mean, of course, I've been there with you guys right along pretty much for the most part, and it's just the only easy way I'll put it into my own words is it's going to be, like I said earlier, it's going to be like the yellow pages for Demolition Derby, for promoters, for vendors, for everything, and it's a great thing. Everybody just needs to get on board and do it, and it's just. And
listen, we all know that some of you guys have been burnt by things that have tried and been brought up in the past.
Yeah, but you know what?
It's way more people involved. It's not one guy. It's really been thought out true and thoroughly. And I hope that you see the passion that we have for it and you follow us. And I really think that other drivers will help other drivers in the right direction. And if we all keep doing the right thing, we keep progressing.
The way I got to look at it is, what do you got to lose? What do you got to lose? People take chances every day.
All I'm asking is throw $30 in a hat, and we're going to take care of you. The NDC is going to take care of you. Just have faith in it, and we're going to be there for you. Because, again, all these people's names that have been mentioned today, their name's on the line. And they hearing this, they're listening right now, too. They're going to be stand-up guys. We're going to be stand-up guys. We all got to be stand-up people and watch this sport grow. Watch it.
On that, we appreciate it. Almost a 2-hour show. Well done. Well done. I hope we covered all the bases. If you guys do have more questions, by all means, use the tools that are available. Check out the Facebook page, National Derby Committee. You are, is there going to still be a show tomorrow? Eric, yes.
Absolutely.
Out in California. We're still doing our regular Crash Course stuff tomorrow.
Definitely.
We'll recap. Tons of.
I'll be right back up here tomorrow.
Tons of the Derby action going on all over the country. We'll be talking about that stuff tomorrow. So yes, we'll be back on tomorrow.
Remember, also, share, like, get it out there.
Also, I have posted the link to the National Derby Committee page, www.nationalderbycommittee. Guys, check that out. Thank you so much. Hopefully, we were able to answer the questions. Got a couple call-ins. I mean, I'm gonna put this up that we covered everything that we wanted to, but we're certainly going to be doing it again because there's going to be more questions that come up.
Sure.
Thanks for joining us on this special Sunday morning edition of the Crash Course. We appreciate it. Happy Father's Day to everybody, and we'll see you next time.